Townsend plays on, plays to the whistle, kicks away for Valentine. Townsend! I love this game.
All right, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Chad Townsend Show. And today's episode is brought to you by playersgolfclub.com.au. Head over to the website. You can shop all of your accessories, polos, T-shirts, membership. We're having our Black Friday sale very soon at the back end of November, so make sure you stay tuned for some awesome discounts and sales. And then after that, in December, we're dropping our summer collection, which is going to be an absolute banger. Some new pieces. Stay tuned for that. A little bit more color. Plus, our 2024 membership is also getting released then. So the perfect time for you to get your Christmas sorted. And with that, I bring him in like I always do. Elliot Lovejoy from Triple M, mate. Thanks for coming on again.
Both well dressed today, Chad.
We are both well dressed. You may see the T-shirts that we're wearing today, and I just arrived into the office here and just got handed this T-shirt and a handshake. And if you can see, it says big Chad Townsend guy. So you got a big smile on your face, and
yeah.
So tell me,
you always talk about the internet being undefeated. For those that missed it, this started off a food vlog that you did a couple of weeks ago where you basically said you're a big everything guy.
Yep.
From P&O to crab shell, didn't matter. The Hello Sports podcast, I think they picked that up and ran with it. From there, shout out to Roasty from the NRL Roast. He actually sent these shirts through.
Did he?
Yeah.
Wow.
He said, if I can get them to you in time, could you chat? I said, absolutely, please.
The NRL Roast has been creating banger content for a long time.
And he's a really lovely fella too. So
well, shout out to the NRL the Roast for sending these shirts up. Yeah. Maybe it's something we can maybe release in the future.
I mean,
bit of merchandise.
Tag team.
I actually got asked the other day, will I ever release podcast merch? And I said, yeah, in the future. I think it's sometime in the future. But yeah, what do you guys think? What do you reckon? Good start? Yeah. Good stuff. All right, we love that. Mate, on today's podcast, we're going to recap the Pacific Championship Final, which we probably both didn't see coming. You've obviously got another big smile on your face because you've tipped a winner, ladies and gentlemen. And then we'll go through some fan questions. So yesterday we asked everyone to send through some questions for the podcast. Elliot's got a heap of questions he's going to flick over to me to answer. We'll run through that. But firstly, mate, like I said, let's get into the Pacific Championship Final. 30-0 to the New Zealand Kiwis over the Australian Kangaroos. Mate, the biggest ever defeat of an Australian side in history. Straight off the bat, did you see that coming?
Nah. I mean, even we sat here last week, you said, who are you tipping? I said New Zealand only because I tipped them the week before. But Australia's team on paper was it not stronger?
It was definitely stronger.
Stronger than what Australia pumped out the week before.
Yep, definitely.
And you said, oh, you know, the New Zealand forwards would be more up for it. Joey Manu won't play like he did the week before, but how did that unravel?
Yeah, well, that's something that in my prediction of last week's game, I said that, you know, when you lose a game, you obviously analyse, you look at the things you did wrong, you're pretty, you know, down, frustrated and motivated. And if you can hear just quickly, this is the fighter jets flying over Townsville. This is pretty normal for our life up here, isn't it? But I said that these guys would be fired up. You know what I mean? They wouldn't want that to happen again. And a fired up, motivated forward pack, because last week, you know, which I had written down here to speak about, was that the New Zealand forwards got dominated last week and they would not have liked that. And that probably gave them a bit of a bee in their bonnet. They were fired up. They probably looked at their review and recognised some things that they needed to improve. The Kiwis controlled 59% of the ball and completed at 83%, which is, you know, what you need to do to win those big games. While Australia obviously only had 41% of the ball, completed at 74%. And in these high-quality games, you need to be completing above 80%. Australia made 12 errors, which was just too many and not enough. Who were some of the standouts for you from the New Zealand team that you thought, you know, wow, this is probably, you know, their best game of the tournament?
James Fisher-Harris, I love watching him play, but the old dog, and maybe it's the last time we see him play for New Zealand, Kieran Foran. I don't know if I've ever seen him play hooker until the last few games, and he looks like he's been doing it all his life. I don't know how hard a transition that would be, going from a half to playing in that spot. especially, again, don't quote me, but I don't think he's ever done it in the NRL at that level.
Definitely.
Honestly, it looked like he'd be doing it all his life.
I think he's been a revelation at hooker for the Kiwis, and I think the thing with Kieran Foran is, and we've sung his praises for the last couple of weeks while watching him transition. I think the hardest thing in that transition would be probably the more tackling, and you're more open to having people run at you.
Yep.
While you're in sort of smaller spaces and have bigger guys to help you. If you get isolated with a big man, because there's obviously a lot of bigger players coming at him, that's probably the hardest thing. But he has toughness in spades, Kieran Foran. So it doesn't I guess, I thought he did a great job. Yep. Like he done a tremendous job, and the skill and the footy brain and the mindset of having been a half his whole career, he understands where the ball needs to go and at what time.
What do you think of Chance? 277 run meters, man of the match, playing with an injury.
Yeah, phenomenal. I think it's topped off his year, to be honest. We sung his praises a couple of weeks ago with some of the passing he's done and the things that he's added to his kit bag. Hasn't it been a great move for him to go back home to New Zealand, to play for the Warriors again, play for the Kiwis? He's really solidified himself, I think, as one of the top 5 number ones in the competition. And to play with injury just kind of shows how much it means to him. Would you agree?
Yep, and when you look at that New Zealand's Warriors squad for next year, not a whole lot of changes. A massive in Roger, Tuivasa-Sheck. If you're going to do it responsibly. But I saw yesterday they were $23 to win the competition, which I thought was very long odds.
Their back 5 at the Kiwis were phenomenal, like you just mentioned. Chance was 277 metres, which is absolutely astronomical. He's one of his biggest strengths is his run game and his ability to get in there, do the hard yards and carry the football. Their back 5 was also an absolute treat. Listen to these numbers. All run meters: Ronaldo 165, Tomoko 149, Manu 127, and Jermaine Asako, who's had another phenomenal year, 146. You get your back 5 doing that, like that is you're halfway there.
Did you spend much time with Ronaldo Mulitalo?
Spent a lot of time with Ronaldo.
So I love how this has transpired for him, because I think he's had the toughest rep couple of years that anyone could have had. It flashback to he gets included in the Queensland squads. He's going to make his debut. Last minute, he's not allowed to play because of some things behind the scenes. And was it the age?
Yeah, it was something to do with the eligibility and the time and the year or the age he moved to Queensland. I think, I might be way off, but it might be 14 or.
It was something like that.
And he
13,
missed it by just a little bit.
He's in tears, right? He's gutted. He came out on social media too and said how much it hurt. I can't imagine having that would have been his dream all his rugby league career as a kid, to get it, to have the jersey and to have it taken away, and with his New Zealand eligibility to go and do what he has done for his country, to perform the way he did on the weekend. I don't know the bloke, but it's a great story. Yep,
Ronaldo scored a try as well. So I think with Ronaldo, he plays with such passion and such fire, and that is great to see. It's great for fans. He wears his heart on his sleeve. He's a great kid, a great fella, Ronaldo. I've got a lot of time for Ronaldo. He knows how much I love the big fella. And I think he's got the chance or the opportunity now to be one of the great New Zealand wingers.
Yeah.
What's in front of him, he's still relatively young, early 20s. And I think you can sort of say the same with the other winger, Jermaine Asako. These two could be wingers for the next, 7 years. The way they carry the ball, their size, their hops, their footwork. It just looks like New Zealand Rugby League, is heading in the right direction. And I think while we're on sort of speaking about New Zealand Rugby League, Coach Maguire, there's a lot of speculation around him potentially taking an opportunity with New South Wales Rugby League. Obviously, the Blues are still searching for, we're still searching for our coach on the hunt with, not too many candidates. And I read a quote from Maguire, I think it might have been yesterday or the day before, saying he wants to remain on and coach the Kiwis for a few more years to come. What are your thoughts?
Mad you could do both. After what you did on the weekend, you could do both.
Well, someone tossed that up and said, can you do both? But you can't.
But why not? I get that New South Wales gig is all-encompassing, but even Mal Meninga says being the Australian coach is not a full-time gig.
Yeah.
It's not like every week he's doing this, that, or the other to pick his Australian team in 6 months' time. Why not?
Yeah.
How is it more steep than being a full-time NRL coach?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it just doesn't sit right with me, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think, you're either all, with your respect, and I agree, I don't think the Australian job's a full-time job, but when it's time to coach and work, it's pretty full on.
Yeah.
So, at the moment, the Kiwis don't have those mid-season games. They've obviously got games at the end of the year, but the Blues, the Origin focus is kind of like, to me, it's like an all-season-long focus where you need to be watching games, watching players. Then you see the work that Freddie did with like the development of the Blues. And that's Freddie's legacy. And that's why I was really disappointed to see Freddie go, because some of the things he's done behind the scenes have been absolutely phenomenal. So Maguire, let's sing his praises, because at the start of this Pacific Championship, I don't think anyone would have seen this result happening. I don't think anyone would have picked the Kiwis to win. You picked them in the final, but you didn't pick the score. Biggest ever defeat. So Coach Maguire deserves his praises, mate.
Yeah, well, and if he doesn't take the New South Wales gig, God knows, I don't know who does it. So
we'll have to wait and see. I'm sure there's a short
there's
price
some
favourite out
names
there.
floating around that I wouldn't have coached my under 6 side. So I hope
I've got my selection. This is who I pick. I pick exclusively. I pick Michael Ennis. Yeah,
See,
Michael Ennis.
I love that, but
why?
yeah, he was one of the names floating around, right? So Madge is up there. I think Paul McGregor's name was in the mix for a little bit. And then Michael Ennis was the wild card, and people are saying, oh, he's never done it. Like, he's done bits and bobs coaching-wise. He's never been a head coach. Why would he be the guy?
Yeah, but I know we're getting a little bit off topic here before we get back to the New Zealand versus Kiwis. But I will answer this question because it's a good one. Michael Ennis, if you know Michael Ennis, and you know the level of detail, the preparation, the focus that Michael had as a player, and the motivation that he gave to his players. That's everything I learned off. I played one season with Michael Ennis, the year we won the comp. I wish I got to play my whole career with him, because when he spoke before a game, he made me, I was a halfback, he made me want to run through the wall, and I've never ran through a wall in my life. Michael Ennis is not only watches a lot of footy, understands a lot of footy, is a great motivator, a great manager of men, understands guys with different personalities, understands people. Not everyone, gets the same sort of treatment. They understand that what works for one person doesn't work for someone else. So it's, you take this approach with this player, you might take this approach with this player, but collectively he has the ability for everyone to buy in.
Sold. Done. Yep.
Sold.
Madge, New Zealand, happy days. You're doing a great job. Stay there. Mick Ennis, come on down.
Yep. I agree.
Well done.
Let's do it. Mate, I know we did speak about the New Zealand middles before, and they deserve their flowers as well, because we spoke about the disappointment that they would have had. But here's some of the numbers coming out from the New Zealand forward pack. And Joe Tarpany, 197 metres. Nas, 121 metres off the bench. James Fisher-Harris, 141 metres as well. Some phenomenal performances by these forwards. And to top off, I guess, their captain, James Fisher-Harris, this season, he's had a phenomenal year at the Panthers. He's captained the Kiwis now to a Pacific Championship. Where does he stand now, I guess, in the ranks of the game's best front rowers? What are your thoughts?
Do you think, is he top 3? Because I find it hard to budge Fanua Blake and Payne Haas out of the top 2 still.
Tino?
If you were to, and it's hard because I know James is a couple of years older, but if you were to build a franchise tomorrow, do you take Tino or James Fisher-Harris? You'd probably take Tino.
I mean, either.
So is he 4th?
Yeah. Well, he's in the mix.
Yeah.
He's in the top 5.
Yeah.
He's got to be. But he's had a phenomenal season.
He's had a phenomenal few years.
Yeah.
Just something in that Penrith water that I think every player that's gone there and played first grade under this latest Ivan Cleary regime has gotten better.
Yep.
And you've seen it at Cronulla when you've been at the peak of your powers, the winning competitions there. We've seen it at any club that goes on to have a sustained success. That seems to be what happens, like Melbourne. Like Bellamy was always so good at getting the best out of players that a lot of fans had not even heard of. Josh King.
Yep.
Josh King went from Newcastle as prop that played 10, 15 minutes a game. He's been their starting lock now for 2 seasons and killing it.
Yep, couldn't agree more with you. I think Melbourne have done it, consistently for so long. But now, Penrith deserve to be spoken in that same, breath with what they've been able to do over the last couple of years. Add on to their, the other front row, Moses Leota, 122 metres. I mean, you got your starting front rowers both playing for their country and both, playing well consistently. That's the go forward you need to win these games. And these guys have done it really, really well. And we compare those numbers to, some of the Aussie forwards. And this is just the script has just been completely flipped from these last 2 weeks of the Pacific Championship, because the week prior, we spoke of the praises of the Aussie forwards and how many metres they run, and their forwards coming off the bench making a great impact, but their impact was limited, and this has got to go down to New Zealand and the great job that they did. It was Payne Haas. When do you ever see Payne Haas running for just 100 metres?
I don't think it's happened at any level for the last 2-3 years.
Yeah, like it is hard to fathom that happening. Like, he is such an elite player, usually always over, well over 150. But to keep him, his opportunities limited, that is, a great job by the Kiwis. I guess to also add to Payne Haas's Tino, 91 metres, Azeo, 116. Like, these numbers are quite low, I guess, for the Aussies and the type of players that these are. But, where to now for the Aussies? I mean, you hear a lot of talk about people saying, oh, there needs to be changes and whatnot. I think people are, getting far too ahead of themselves. And obviously they'll have a lot of time to sort of digress and see, what they want to do. But sometimes this is just football. Like, sometimes you don't win. Sometimes things happen. What are your thoughts?
I agree with you, and I've been in James Tedesco's corner the whole time, and by no means was he at fault by what happened on the weekend. In saying that, this is just my prediction. I don't think he'll be the starting fullback for Australia next year. I think Mal will move on to either Walsh or Ponga. It's just how I see it playing out.
Who else is some other guys who you think will get their opportunity in the next 12 to 24 months? You spoke of Walsh. You've got Dylan Edwards, Ponga. You've got a number of guys.
Yeah, well, I mean,
anyone else that sort of stands out?
I don't think so. No, I mean, obviously Nathan Cleary will come back into that 7 role when fit again. But I think the big change will be at fullback. You've got, because you look at your back rowers, Liam Martin and Cam Murray should be starting for Australia as long as they want to, you would think. Isaiah Yeo, you would think, will continue with Pat Garrigan to play or to have options with that 13. Tino, Payne Haas aren't going anywhere.
Yeah.
I suppose the only one you're probably going to lose is Ben Hunt. Do you carry 2 hookers then? Is that when you look at, does Appy Coruscant come back and play for Australia again, or I don't know.
Well, a lot of things to play out that we'll just sit back and watch.
But I think that could have been just a prediction. I think maybe it was the last time we saw Teddy play for Australia.
Yeah, well, if it is, I mean, I'm a big fan of Teddy, and I know you are as well. Like, what an international career he's had.
Well, and when you consider too, let's not forget, he had more ACL issue than I think most professionals ever go through really early in his career. And to turn that around and get the mobility somehow back in his legs, and he must have worked his bum off multiple times with those injuries, to what he's done, unreal.
Yep. Teddy's a great... I've spent a tiny bit of time with Teddy, not much. I don't know him that well.
You were in New South Wales camp with him last year.
Yeah, and I got to see from, behind the scenes, and, he's a great leader, great communicator, cares for his players, will stand up for his players, and that's what they're the type of guys you want to play with. Players, like guys who love their teammates, stand up for their teammates. Teddy cops a lot of criticism on through the media, handles it great. Always is there to face and will stand up for everything.
Is he, because, you watch him, he's pretty softly spoken in the media, hard bloke not to like, I think. What's he like when he's around the players group? Is he quite loud and in charge then?
I wouldn't say he's loud, but I'd say he probably has a bit more personality, like most players.
Yeah.
I mean, most players are, when the cameras are not on or the media's not around and it's just the boys, like most of them show so much more personality. But when, they're doing interviews or things where they've got to put themselves out there, they kind of hold back a lot because people just will go at them and just criticize them, and they don't want to deal with that. So I fully understand it. Like, why would you want to do that if someone's just going to attack you? So
well, they always say Wayne Bennett's the best example of that because he's Wayne Bennett in an interview, but anyone that's ever been coached by him says he's a lunatic, he's funny, he's cracking jokes. And for us punters that just see what we see on the telly, it's hard to fathom.
So Wayne Bennett could do a media interview after the game after they've just lost and speak and give absolutely nothing in the press conference. Maybe go back to a reporter or give them like one-word answers or whatever, walk out looking grumpy as, then walk on the bus, go and sit up the back seat and start playing cards, listening to music and laughing with his team.
Yeah.
That's the type of guy that I've heard that Wayne is.
Yeah.
Like, it's like you don't need to, give away too much, but at the end of the day, your team and your players and your squad are the most important thing, and that's where your relationships arise. Mate, we'll move on to the main bit of today's podcast, and that is we're going to do a Q&A. So we asked you guys over the past day or so to send through your questions on my social media. It was on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. So Elliot's got a heap of questions now that I'm going to hand it over to you, Elliot, to sort of not grill me, but answer some of our fans and our watchers' questions that they've sent in today, mate.
Yeah, roll through as many as we can. The hardest name to start, Paiji Wager. I apologise if I've butchered that to the moon. Who in the Cowboys team is the funniest and why?
Who is the funniest Cowboy? Well, I think, this one, or there's a couple funny ones. I mean, Jordan McLean's pretty funny because, at certain times, he's very, a little bit angry. But then when it's time to be funny, like he'll get up a gallery of like photos and make like a slideshow with music on it, and then put it on our group chat of like one of the boys' photos from like 15 years ago from Facebook. That's pretty funny. Drinky's pretty funny with how ruthless he is, just being himself. Like, he doesn't really care too much. He's a bit of a larrikin.
He's born on another planet.
Yeah, Drinky's not all there. He's not fully...
If it turned out he was Brad Fittler's love child, it's not something that I would blink twice at.
Yeah, I think he's got ADD. He's got a lot of energy, Drinky, which we love. But, so probably those two, to be honest.
Sue in North Queensland. Do you want to go into media and or coach when you retire? Your podcasts and YouTube vlogs are excellent.
Well, thank you, Sue. I really do appreciate that. And, obviously I am getting older, and I do quite enjoy the media side of things. That's obviously why we're doing the podcast in the off-season, and I've got the YouTube channel as well. I would love to do media or coaching whenever I finish up playing. It is a big passion of mine. It's something I've done on the side over the past couple of years. So, to answer your question, it does definitely interest me. I love the game. I really do enjoy it.
Okay.
So, maybe sometime in the future.
Let's sidebar into a hard one next that fits here. This came through on YouTube. Noah HM134. Chad, where are you at in your career? And this one's been popping up a lot. Have you got a while to go? A few years left? How's your body holding up after games?
Well, Noah, this is an exclusive right now. I don't have an exclusive for you, to be honest. This is my last year of my contract up here in the Cowboys. Yep. My body feels great. I feel, really good for how old I am. I touch wood, I haven't had many injuries. Yeah. Since I've got to the Townsville, since I've got to the Cowboys, I've played every game. I've played 50 games straight. That's something I really pride myself on, is being available. So doing all the little things, the extras, the corrective stuff. It's something I got taught younger in my career, to do the stuff that keeps you on the field. So, look, where I'm at right now is obviously I'm off contract. I am, at the end of the year, I'm going to be open to all of my options. But
you've always said that. You said that I never say no to anything straight up. I'll look at everything. If I've got 5 options, I will look at them all with detail.
100%. If there's an option for me, I'll look at everything. And I think it's a great way to be, because at the end of the day, you want to be open to all options. I'm not just going to say no to certain things. If there's an offer for me or something, I definitely would be open to hearing all of them. So yeah, look, I'm at the stage of my career where my family are, pretty important to me, and they'll be at the basis of whatever I decide to do next. But I've still got that fire in me to compete and play and get better. And we start training tomorrow, so I'm really excited to get back to training. And what the future happens, it'll all sort itself out. So I'm not stressed or worried.
Yep.
I know that there's a lot of people in the game who are a lot higher priority than me, and my future will get sorted, probably sometimes towards midway back end of the season, I'd say.
Rachel Adair says, Chad, I hope you extend your contract with the Cowboys. She says, what is your favourite career highlight? I know you can go to the grand final win, so let's go outside of the grand final win.
Yeah, I think my career highlight is my NRL debut.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who'd you play?
Play the Broncos.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you get done?
Yeah, we lost.
Yeah,
Played
okay.
against Darren Lockyer, though.
Did you?
Yeah. Played against Darren Lockyer in 2011.
Did you start?
I started, yeah. We played on a Friday night at Shark Park. Flano told me on Wednesday, and I couldn't sleep for 2 nights. I remember shaking Lockie's hand after the game, like I was just like, nervous mess, didn't say a word. Looking back on it, I wish I got a photo with him. Would have been unreal.
How old were you? 20?
I was, 20.
Yeah.
19, 20, just turned 20.
How'd you play?
Yeah, I had a 1 try assist.
Yeah.
I nearly kicked a 40-20. But, yeah, I thought I played pretty well. I ended up playing, I think it was 11 games that year.
What was it like when you ran out there? Were your legs lead? And
Yeah, I was like, legs were gone already before kickoff. But I think that moment of just realising my dreams and my goals had just come true of my whole life. All I wanted to do was play NRL. And I put out a video on YouTube the other day, actually. It was 5 tips for people to play NRL. And I really believe in these tips. And, when you're a youngster, it's all I wanted to do was play NRL. So to realise that was a pretty special moment. But then once you play that first game, it's like, you want more.
Test you a little bit more. Who was your 6 that game?
My 6 was Wade Graham.
Okay. 9?
Yeah. My 9 was John Morris.
And your fullback?
And my fullback was, it might have been Nathan Gardner.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Great names there.
Wade and I used to play in the halves for the first couple of years, and then Wade moved to back row. He was my first ever roommate. So Wade and I we go way back.
Wow. All right, this one's come through from Ryan Jeffcoat, and he wants to know, how does the Castle Hill preseason torture run compare to pre-seasons at other clubs? So those that don't know, Castle Hill in Townsville is, I haven't run it because I'm unfit, but it is known for fit people. They climb it all the time. You guys famously do it, and you get smashed in your pre-season with it in 30-degree weather. Yeah,
Castle Hill's pretty hard. I think, it doesn't faze me that much now. When I first got here, it was we're running the hill. It's about 20. Well, Tommy Dearden's got the world record time, 19 minutes something, I think it is, which is phenomenal. But it's 19 to, our worst runners are probably 25.
Yep.
So,
are you willing to throw someone in there that's your worst runner?
I've got one right at the tip of my tongue, but I'm not going to say
come on.
it.
Does it start with Todd and end with Peyton?
No, he rides the bike up, the big fella. Running's not for him. But, don't get me wrong, it is brutally tough. It's 20-odd minutes of just head noise galore. And if you've seen Castle Hill, the road, at times on the hill, it is just, straight up. So, we might do a field session for an hour and a half, and then the coaches will be like, all right, we're running up the hill. So you're going to put your joggers on after just training on the field. So to answer the question, the comparables, it's hard to kind of compare because every preseason I've ever done is hard. It's just how it is. Every club trains hard. There's no club training harder than another club. Every club does fitness, conditioning, speed, contact, indoor cardio. Every club trains unbelievably hard. Mm-hmm. So, some teams do the sandhills down in in Sydney. So it's
but that first preseason at the Cowboys, again, people that haven't spent time in North Queensland don't understand the humidity in November, December, January, February, March.
That's the difference between here and Sydney, and the elements or the weather make it about probably 20% harder. So you're out there running, like sometimes it's like above 35 degrees. You're running and it's just like you close your eyes when you're running because you're just in that much pain. And like you're searching for shade and there's just no shade. I remember just a quick one. There's obviously light poles around the training fields, and at this stage there was like a light pole here and the sun was like here.
Yeah.
So we're training over here. So there's like a line of shade right from the light pole. So we're in between this drill, like we're doing I can't remember what we're doing, might be an L runs or whatever, code hangers or something. There's the light pole that's got this line of shade, and all the boys are having a drink, and they're all standing in a line trying to get in the shade. Oh, man, it's funny.
Do you look after the pale boys? Like our mate Griffin Neem is as pale as I am. Got his first try on the weekend. Shout out for New Zealand.
We should have gave him a shout out for that.
Is he long sleeve?
Yeah, he's long sleeve, zinc.
Yeah, layer up, hat on,
hats,
wide brim.
Everything. Yeah, he can't afford to wear a singlet on the field.
No.
Like me. There's no.
Which is a shame because he is a specimen. I mean, that's a great rig.
Yeah, he's pretty built. But there's no way. I have not worn a singlet on the field ever since I've been up here because like I'm not taking the risk of getting toasted.
Fair. All right, Brian Bedford. You spoke about Teddy as a leader before. Brian says, as a captain, what do you ensure that you do to inspire your teammates and get them in the right headspace? This is, pre-game, during game, at training.
Yeah, I think it's a good question. It's something I learned a lot. Like I spoke before about Michael Ennis and his ability to motivate plays. I think it's, about firstly and foremost, like doing you and making sure you have the right behaviours with how you prepare and how you play and how you train. And then, giving your teammates the confidence or helping them realise their potential. So, for me, I like to go around and speak to my teammates, and I think someone's had a great training session. I'll go and say, mate, great session today. I thought you dominated. Like, I thought you were really good. Keep doing this. Stop doing this. Start doing this. They're things that I like to speak to about my teammates. And then, just making sure that you're focused at the right time. So, I'm all for having fun and enjoying what we do in the sheds. And when it's not time to train, it's like you can get around your mates and just have fun. You want to have fun with what you're doing, but then when it's time to train on the field, it's like you need to be focused. You need to be locked in, and it's the same with the game. When it's game time, the focus needs to be there. The preparation needs to be there. So just making sure that, those things are ticked off, and, it's a lot of positive reinforcement too, because players, I've found can sometimes get in their own head about and, get worried and put a lot of pressure on themselves. That's what I used to do when I was a kid. Younger, I put a lot of pressure on myself, and if I didn't play the way I would have liked, I'd be down for like 4 days. And as you get older, you realise that if you do have a bad game, like it's part of life, it's part of footy. Not every single player, like the best player in the game, doesn't have the best game every single week. Like there's games where he won't play that well. The best player in the game. So it's just a part of life, and helping them with that side of it.
Who's the most relaxed pre-game for you guys?
For sure, Drinky.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for sure, Drinky. Robbo, actually. Yeah, okay. Robbo's pretty relaxed too. He doesn't really do anything.
Yeah.
Just likes to just chill. Yeah.
Who's the most intense?
Most intense would have to be... Well, it used to be Tom Gilbert. He was pretty intense.
Yep. Mate, Tom Gilbert is intense ordering a coffee. He's the world's nicest bloke. If you didn't know him, he scares the shit out of you just looking at him.
Yeah, he's pretty intense. Yeah. Great fella, Tommy G. But at the moment, I don't know. I wouldn't say there's really too many fully intense guys. Like, I've seen some intense guys over my time, but... I'm not too sure.
What's your go-to, like, post-try behind the goal? Like, what do you say in the public just to get them back up?
So if we've just scored?
No. Sorry.
Conceded.
You just conceded, sorry.
Yeah, I always like to think... That's a great question, Robbie.
So much.
We've actually got a camera on Robbie today. Can we get Can we flick the camera on, Robbie? Yeah, there we go. So producer Robbie's here producing the podcast. I always like to... narrow the focus. So if we've just conceded a try, it's like you don't need to go off and think broadly. It's like, we identify what just happened. Mm-hmm. what we need to do better there in that instance. You know, it might have been we just dropped the ball and then we've given them a chance to take our try on and they've scored and someone's, you know, taken a dummy or, you know, whatever it is. So it's like you rectify that first. You have a quick conversation with the people involved in that. And then you go back to like your 2 minute narrow focus. So we kick off, we focus on our defensive set and making sure we defend really well that set. We have our line speed and intent, we win our tackles, and then we obviously receive the ball and then we complete that next set. They're the things I like to focus on. Those two.
Are you going, hey? Or are you just...
Sometimes when the game's like on the line, it's like back end of the game and it's like, this is what needs to happen. You speak with intent. Yeah. But a lot of the time you want to speak calmly because how you speak on the field rubs off onto others. So if you're speaking, you're like panicked and speaking quick and people don't understand, it's like people are freaking out. What's actually happening? But if you're like, can speak calmly but with intent and, you know, make sure people understand, that's how I've sort of learnt over the years to handle it.
Yep.
All right, this one on YouTube as well. Spectre-TV7We.
There's a few in there from Spectre, actually.
I'll pick one. Is it possible to make the NRL at 17 years of age? Spectre would like to know.
You might have to pick another one because it's actually not possible. 17-year-olds can't play NRL anymore.
Well, that's an easy one. Well, how old was Jordan Rankin?
He was 16.
Yeah, right.
How old was...
16 Rankin was. They changed the rules. You got to be 18.
Suaalii
was.
Yeah, how Suaalii?
Suaalii was gonna do it, but
that's right.
They had to wait till he was 18. So
okay. Spectre also says the NRL players need to consider having a full-time job after footy retirement. What are the pathways like
for transitioning out?
Yeah, like do clubs encourage blokes that are coming in to make sure they have an interest outside of footy?
Yeah, of course. This is one of the big things. When you're around, like under 20s or junior, you have to train and work. So you're encouraged to work and to study throughout your career. There's things that are available to you throughout the RLPA, grants for education. But then once you get to 28, you go into what's called a transition to retirement group.
Retirement home. Yeah.
Retirement home. At 28.
Yeah.
Like you're 28, Jesus.
Yeah.
And you get to that 28 group and then you sort of meet with like the wellbeing officer and you just kind of, do things like, you meet every 6 months and to speak about what you're interested in, what you're passionate about, what qualifications can you do. You start to work on like your resume, your LinkedIn profile, and then you kind of build towards whenever you're going to move out because everyone goes out at different times. Like the average games of 40-odd games, so it is great, and it's going to get better. Like
I was going to say, you would speak to past players, and unfortunately, there's some really sad stories of players that, for whatever reason, once they finished playing rugby league, I'm talking only probably 20 years ago, just had nothing afterwards, didn't have skill sets. I don't know whether they weren't encouraged while they were playing or they didn't seek it out or meeting somewhere in the middle. But there's some really sad stories of players that have struggled and felt like they had no place in the world after footy.
Big time. And that's one thing that I heard a lot when I was a youngster. And I heard guys, this one guy, I'd never say his name or never sort of repeat our conversation with who it was, but he played like 10 years in the game, had nothing, like had no money saved, no properties, no qualifications, but had a good career. And I was like, man, like that is just, it's so sad. Like, what could have been like if you had focused a bit more, saved some money, invested some money, done some qualifications. So, that's another thing that I try and speak to some of our young guys about, making the most of your opportunity. Like, you don't want to just play one game. You want to have a 10-year career. So you've got to do obviously the right things athletically and physically and playing well. But then off the field, it's like, you need that balance too. Like I am someone who, we are getting more fighter jets. They're actually fighter jets
today. Yeah.
Like they're actual fighter jets. You can actually go outside and it's just like sound barriers are getting broken and everything. That's just, it's normal life in Townsville.
It's part of it.
But yeah, where were we? We were talking about the transition.
Yeah.
And so it is so important to have that balance because, you know, I'm someone who has always enjoyed doing things outside of football, and that allows me to, I guess, compartmentalize. You know, when I'm at home, I'm a father and I'm a husband, and then when I want to do this podcast today, I am all in trying to do the best podcast I can.
Yep.
And then tomorrow, when I start training, like I'm trying to be the best player I can be. So, you know, if you're all in on one thing, like, you know, it can build up a lot of anxiety and a lot of pressure you put on yourself. So I've always found that having a balance between doing a couple of different things and having interests and hobbies,
Yep.
I've found to be the best balance. And what works for some doesn't work for others. And that's a little bit of advice I'd give is to balance yourself out, have some interests, have some hobbies, and then, this question was kind of working towards your transition to retirement. I guess those things that I've done, you know, on the side or outside of football, hopefully one day will be something I can do whenever I finish playing.
All right, we'll go 2 more. I'm assuming this bloke's a Parramatta fan. William Davison, 545. Who's the most difficult player to play against aside from Mitch Moses, obviously?
Definitely a Parramatta fan.
Yeah.
This one. Most difficult player, I think we'll probably have to go with a big forward that I'd have to tackle every now and then. And
You go that and maybe a skill player as well. Not
Okay.
the forwards aren't skill players.
okay, well, I'll go 2 forwards because trying to tackle these 2 guys is just hard. Payne Haas,
Yep.
you know, we've spoken a lot about Payne Haas over the past couple of weeks. His size, his offload ability, his ability to get post-contact meters, doesn't really come over on the edge that much towards me where I am. So, but every now and then he'll skip over and beat a couple of people and come in, and it's like, if I'm just trying to tackle Payne Haas, it's like, you tackle and you hold on and you wait for help.
Yeah, it's like a kid trying to tackle his dad.
I'd say Payne Haas. He's unbelievably hard to tackle. The next one probably be Viliami Kikau. He's on that same sort of size. Obviously, he's edge back rower, wide running forward. He's someone who you have to tackle a lot. When you get up, when you play Viliami, you just have to throw yourself at him. Be as physical as you can with him. Cut his time off because, you know, at the end of the day, he's got about 30 kilos on me. He's about 20 centimeters taller than me. But if I get up and I give him my all and, I hold on and I wait for help, or I get up and I give him my all and I get bumped off, and I get back up and I try and tackle him again, that's part of it. He's bigger than me.
Still my favourite story, and I know we touched on this, was Viliami Kikau that year he had last year where no one could stop him and he was... No one, like literally, it didn't matter who he was coming up against, he was winning the battle. And he played that game for Fiji, and it was Dan Russell and Kyle Labour for PNG that shut him down the whole night. It was amazing.
Yeah. Well, shout out to PNG. They had a pretty good Pacific Championship, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
The Laybutts as well.
Yeah,
the
had
boys.
a good win at the back end.
Yep.
So
Chad, did you ever come up against Roger?
Roger, I've played Roger a lot of times, yeah.
I just see always on podcasts, everyone's like, nah, he was the worst to come up against.
His footwork is like, if you get Roger one-on-one, it is tough.
Yeah.
But the skill play, I'd probably have to say the speed of Reece Walsh.
Yep.
You know, we spoke early in the piece in the pod about his speed out the back, and you having, as a half, first having to check that wide running forward and then go out to Reece Walsh's speed. And if I go back to the NRL Grand Final, you'll see that Nathan Cleary first had to check, and then he went to get Reece Walsh. He went probably too quick to his outside shoulder. Walsh cut him in half with the left foot. So you always know you're on a bit of notice when Walsh is there just because of the speed. That's probably the most worrying thing. They're probably the most worrying 3 or the 3 biggest threats, I'd say.
And finally, from Dr. Pop on Instagram, how hard will Buzzer send it this weekend at the GL?
Yes. This is one of my best mates, the Dr. Pop.
Okay.
If you've seen across my YouTube, he signed a 1-day contract with us to help us out on the golf day. So my mates and I, we have a yearly lunch called the GL, and it's the gentleman's lunch. Right. So these boys I went to school with, and we've been best mates ever since. And every month we put money away, and then we go out and have a fancy dinner that we just can't really afford or do. We all put in money. We get a limo in to the city. We go to a ritzy restaurant that we never really go to. We don't really fit in. Everyone's drinking, wine and having, caviar. Not caviar, but, have a nice meal. Yeah. And we just really catch up and have, some pretty deep conversations about our year and what we've kind of done and speak about that. And then after that, we usually would go to a cocktail bar and
Get
Buzzer.
torched.
get lit basically. But Buzzer, he's another one of my best mates, and yeah, he likes to send it.
MVP.
So usually gets MVP, but one thing he does is like he'll be there with us, and there's like 8 of us in the group, and then we'll be drinking cocktails or whatever it is, and social, just talking, and then this is after lunch too, mind you, like whatever it is in the afternoon, and the vibes are like going, and then he might just go and speak to these other people that are just like, here as well, but like not friends with us. Yeah. He would just make friends with people he doesn't know. We call him the Labrador because he's like a man's best friend.
Well, shout out to Buzzer.
So yeah, shout out to Buzzer, mates. This is going to be our last episode for the year. So it's been I think it's been 10 weeks this off season. We've done the podcast. Like I said before, I am back to training tomorrow, and I've got something here for you, Elliot, as a little bit of a gift.
Oh, look at us.
Mate, to say, I won't give you that. That's the hard drive. But just to say,
I'll take your hard drive.
Thank you, mate, for your past 10 weeks and your expert comments, your expert tips. I know
He's been really thoughtful.
Yeah.
Look at that.
It's
the
a little
Buccaneers. We're not talking about them this week.
A little Buccaneers footy and...
there's more Buccaneers stuff. Oh, you didn't have to do that, mate. Thank you. That's very kind.
Just, I know you're going to the States soon. And,
I am, yep.
You
even got me fat boy size.
Yeah, I got your big boy size. Yeah. So you show it up. Hold the camera. Show the camera. Yes. There it is. Big Buccaneers.
Mighty Buccaneers. Yeah. Thank you.
I know we've got the bet, which is still ongoing.
Yes.
But I thought, this is just something that could just say a little bit of thank you for your time, mate. So
no, always a pleasure, mate.
Anything you wanted to say before we wrap it up for the year?
Not a very sentimental person, so not really. No, but I always like chatting to you on or off air, on a podcast, at a coffee shop, whatever. So this has just been easy and fun.
Awesome, mate. Well, that's it, guys. If you've been tuning in over the last 2 months or however long it is, we really appreciate you watching the podcast, listening. If you enjoy, make sure you like, subscribe, drop us a comment. I'm not sure when the podcast will be back. Obviously, back to training tomorrow, so I've got a big 6 weeks of pre-season.
All the running.
Pray for.
I'm going to sit at the Cowboys Leagues Club and smash a pizza and just.
Well, if you want to just randomly just go the hill and maybe just watch us get tortured up the hill.
Yeah, I'll yell advice.
Yell advice, that'd be good. Yeah. But
And then I'll finally find out who's the slow one that you won't tell us about.
You will, and I won't be telling you. My lips are sealed. But also thanks to Robbie, Dale, and all the boys down here at 5372 that have flicked on you for a sec. Robbie, give us something. Yeah, the boys who have done a great job. So, mate, we appreciate your help too, buddy.
You're welcome anytime.
Robbie always has a nice hat on.
Yeah, selective.
Dude, you're going to get some really nice hats when you go.
I'm going to the States,
yeah.
He's just got all these cowboy hats. They look great.
Yeah, he's a cowboy guy.
Yeah, he is. Well, yeah, we say that. He's barefoot, and when he's not, he's got rainbow Crocs. Yeah. So
when's the? Can we speak about the new brand, or when's it dropping, or is it still undercover?
Oh well, I haven't actually done anything really with it yet, but it'll come.
It'll come
next
All right. Well, something to look forward to.
Big Chad Townsend guy.
Big Chad Townsend guy. Before we finish, thanks to the NRL Rose for these t-shirts. We might bring them out one day when we're doing the podcast again. But that's it, guys. That's it for today's episode. That's it for the podcast for the rest of the year. And we'll see you guys whenever we see you.